really nice to see the audience back in action, and it's a little different in terms of the regular way of starting a conversation saying, hey, can you hear me? Can you see my slides? So it's so very different. Good to be in person and meeting you all. Firstly, let me thank Tech Plus Media for giving me and my team at Snowflake the opportunity to be part of this event and also to be amongst the delegates here. For most of you who don't know me, my name is Devasia. I lead the business for Snowflake for the South Indian SAARC market. I've been in this industry for about 15 plus years and about half of that in the data space, right? And I'm here this evening to share a little bit of my experience that I have in the whole evolution of data that I have seen, right? So let me start by giving a little bit of statistics around data. IDC, the market intelligence firm, predicted that by 2025, the world will have about 180 zettabytes of digital data. 180 zettabytes of digital data by 2025, not too far away, right? Just for reference, 1 zettabyte is equal to 1 trillion gigabytes. So we're technically talking about humongous volume of data. And nearly half of that will be stored on the public cloud by 2025, and which is barely about 30% higher than where we are today. With the rise of application cloud like your Salesforce or Workday, and your infrastructure cloud like the hyperscalers, your AWS and Google and Microsoft of the world, it has given the organization the ability to store these huge volumes of data, irrespective of the size, the data types, the formats. Now here's why, in our experience, we've seen a lot of companies and a lot of organizations trying to adopt cloud. Obviously, data volumes is one of the key factor, but what we've also seen is the non-factored or evaluated cost that comes along with the on-premise world. And I'm sure most of us sitting in this room today have seen that evolution, right? The evolution of the databases to Hadoop, to cloud today. And one of the reasons, like I mentioned, is the cost part of it. There were times when organizations focused only on the business outcome and never really focused on how much am I spending on my infrastructure, how am I spending on my servers, and to keep the compute alive. And here's where cloud played a big role in kind of managing those costs. The other area that we've seen as an organization is the manageability feature of it. We're talking to a lot of these new age startups, a lot of the enterprises who say, look, I've got a very lean team and I don't want to spend their time, effort in managing my resources, in managing my infrastructure and warehouses. Can cloud be that layer who could help me solve those manageability issues? With the automation that comes along on the cloud services, this has also been addressed. Finally, I think one of the important aspects is to be agile and to be relevant in today's market condition, which is what cloud basically helps in moving and transforming quickly. So while there are these drivers that instigate organizations to move to the cloud, in that realm of things, we've seen data getting a lot of value, right? Organizations are realizing the true potential of data. And a lot of economists, a lot of magazines, a lot of organizations have said data is the new oil. We've heard that time and again. It's an asset to the organization. Interestingly, in one of our recent roundtables, one of the gentlemen said, data is like the nucleus in an atom where there are electrons surrounding it, right? And so rightly said, if you look at organizations who have their data strategy very well defined, data is at the core, which is sanitized, which is governed with the regulatory and governance in place, and is very much seamlessly allowing the different business function to consume that data. And that's an ideal state, right, if I look at it. So what are these data innovators doing different? If you look at organizations who are, let's probably take a step back and plot a graph here, right? Let's take one of the axes, which is the market conditions, the changes that happen and the growth. If you look at the data innovators or the digital leaders of today who've defined the data strategy, they're right at the top. So they're doing something different which the others are not doing. And one of the things that we've at Snowflake have realized is they've taken a very agile approach to the data strategy, right? Now, what does agile process mean? We all talk about being agile about it. But being agile means creating a self-serviced data strategy where data is easily accessible to the frontline workers as well. If I look at some of the traditional organization or the way it was done in the past, there used to be data owners. They used to be like the kings of the data, and if you have to access that data, you had to go through multiple approval processes, different policies, and by the time the data reaches you, it's stale, it's not relevant to you. So these data innovators have built a culture where you can reiterate those data points, and there is a culture of creating tolerance for failure as well, thereby enriching the data on a regular basis. What they also do different is creating data as a product. Now, why is that important? We all know that you have data internally within your organization, and that is valuable. And how do you create that value? Is by packaging it by, for example, there are organizations which are leveraging the second-party data, which is reaching out to your external vendors, your partners, consuming that data, and also leveraging the third-party data from data providers, the likes of Equifax of the world, or the Merkles of the world, where you get demographic data, customer behavior data, and financial data. Bringing all of that together, you enrich the data which can be leveraged for your internal business function or can be extended to your other partners as well. And this is where, if we come back to the topic of cloud adoption versus the data strategy, there is an overlap. There is an overlap in the sense organizations have now realized how important and crucial data is. And if you look at, again, like I said, if you look at the people who are sitting today here, there was a time when databases were important. Databases solved a lot of those problems because data was structured in those days of time, and the use cases, the analytical uses were not as complex as what we see today. And that's when you have more data, when you have more complex structures, the evolution happened and moved to the cloud, which is what we are facing today. So some of the key benefits that we at Snowflake have realized is the scalability part of it, right? As data volumes grew, as complexity grew, cloud data platforms, which are agnostic in the nature, which are allowing customers to share data seamlessly, irrespective of what cloud you are in or irrespective of the geography that you lie in, can help you in terms of the seamless migration. And finally, cloud is that option which allows organizations to start as small as they want. Today, we are talking to some of the startups which are 2-member team, 3-member team, and they want to start small, and they don't want to make heavy investments. So is that a good option for cloud? That's where they make the difference. Finally, I want to wrap up just by saying that, look, today's problems are not going to be solved by yesterday's technology, right? And likewise, tomorrow's problems are not going to be solved by today's technologies. So when you embark on a data strategy or a cloud adoption mechanism, please be aware that your tech partners play a very big important role. And if they have a future vision of where the data leads, you should collaborate with them. With that, I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity, and I hope you have a good evening ahead.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.